oligopoly stuff we're going to talk about today will not be on our test on Wednesday. This will be on our final exam a few weeks down the road still. All right, a couple of questions to look at for this, this stuff up here for our test from chapter 8 and chapter 14. All right, barriers to entry. Okay, here's going to put for this. Monopolies, economic profit. All right, so last week we were talking about perfectly competitive markets. We said that in a perfectly competitive market, the economic profit tends to go to zero. Remember, zero economic profit is defined as average accounting profit. Why? You guys tell me. Gonna know this for our test Wednesday. Why does economic profit tend to go to zero in a perfectly competitive market? Yeah?
Because if businesses within that market are making a ton of profit, more businesses will have incentive to enter.
There's the idea. New firms that enter the market. As more and more firms enter the market, supply gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and as supply gets bigger and bigger, price gets driven lower and lower and lower, and as price starts getting lower and lower and lower, profits get less and less and less. All right, but monopolies, you said, can have economic profit that just keeps going. Now, if we get a monopoly, remember monopoly by definition? Well, you guys tell me, what's the definition of monopoly? Yeah, just one company selling the product. And this monopoly can have really big profits. And if the monopoly is making big economic profit, what would you expect to happen? Other companies should be entering the market. Of course, if other companies do enter the market and start selling the product, what can we say about the monopoly? It's not a monopoly anymore. By definition, a monopoly is when there's only one company. All right, we're going to put monopoly's economic profit should attract new firms into the market. Okay, if we've got this company's making a lot of profit, other companies see that and say, hey, we should get in that market too. Let's get in that market and get some of that profit for us. All right. For the monopoly to remain a monopoly, comment after that, because if new firms do in fact enter the market, then monopoly is not a monopoly anymore. For the monopoly to remain a monopoly, it must have some way of keeping competitors out of the market. All right, I'm just going to put this. Barriers to entry. I'll put a colon after that. All right, so that brings us to barriers to entry here. And barriers to entry, here's going to put for barriers to entry. What barriers to entry are, just this, I guess. Things that make it difficult. Things that make it difficult for new companies. Things that make it difficult for new companies to enter a market. All right, barriers to entry. Things that make it hard for a new company to get into a market and start selling a product. All right, examples. Just gonna come up with a list. Ideas. What are some examples of things that would make it hard for new businesses to get into a market and start selling that product. Yeah? No.
Expensive capital.
Okay, number one. High startup costs. You guys tell me how many companies are there in the world that make big commercial airplanes? Two. Who are they? Boeing and Airbus. That's not much competition. Only two companies in the entire world that make big commercial airplanes. Wow, that should be pretty profitable. You guys, we should get in that market. Why don't we all form a company and we'll start making big commercial airplanes? Okay, well, if we're going to start up our own airplane company and try and compete with Boeing and Airbus, well, one thing we have to have is we have to have an airport, right, to test out our airplanes. Then you got to have a factory to actually build airplanes and employees and whatnot to build them with. I don't know, everybody, I'm going to get startup costs to produce commercial airplanes for business. Yeah, a good $5 billion. I don't know, anybody in here got $5 billion? That might be a problem. Okay, high startup costs can keep companies out. Yeah, Keegan?
Consumers' loyalty to the monopoly.
Well, I want to keep going with this. We can do that next, but I want to do one more example. You guys tell me, who are the big soft drink companies? Say again?
Microsoft.
No, not software, soft drinks. Did I say software? Did I say software? I'm sorry. Soft drinks. Coca-Cola and Pepsi. All right, again, not a whole lot of competition. Remember what we said last week? Most markets, they're not anywhere near perfectly competitive. Having two companies producing most of the soft drinks in the world, that's nowhere near perfect competition. All right, well, hey, everybody, we ought to be able to get into that market, right? We could all get together and form our own soft drink company, start making soft, root beer or colas. And that's not quite that shouldn't be as expensive as making airplanes. Look, we could start our company. We'll call it, we'll call it Bruce's Cola Company. I'll be the CEO. But look, we could start small. I mean, we could start in my kitchen. Now, if we're going to start up our own soft drink company and compete against Coke and Pepsi, we got to get people to buy our product. This kind of tied in with what Keegan was just maybe starting to say. We got to get people to buy our product. If we're going to start up our own new company, we have to get people to buy our product. How do you do that? How do you get people to buy your product?
Promoting.
Say again?
Promoting.
Promoting. Yeah. Other words? Advertising. You got to promote your product. You got to advertise your product. Say again? Maybe make it unique, but you got to get people to buy it. Even if it is unique, you still got to get people to buy it. How do you do that? Well, marketing, advertising, promotion. All right, but I should see if I have this written down. I don't know if I do. Yeah, all right. Today, well, that was a few years ago, so I'm going to try and just about for inflation. This is the date I have is from 2018, 4 years ago. So I'm going to adjust that for inflation, but probably $20 million. Today, Coca-Cola spent $20 million on advertising. And the whole point of that advertising that Coke spent $20 million on today is telling people, Coke's the real thing. Drink Coke and you're going to be cool. Coke is the real thing.
Classic.
Tomorrow, Coke is going to spend another $20 million. Wednesday, Coke spent another $20 million. Thursday, another $20 million. Friday, that's day 5, another $20 million. We're up to $100 million in 5 days. Coke spends $20 million every single day of the year on advertising, trying to get people to buy their product. Pepsi spends about the same amount. All right. Well, if we're going to try and compete against Coke and Pepsi, Coke and Pepsi each spend about $20 million per day on advertising. We can get people to buy our product. We got to do advertising. At $20 million a day, what do you guys think? If we're going to start our own company and try to compete against Coke and Pepsi at $20 million a day on advertising, how long do you think we could keep up with Coke and Pepsi on advertising? How much money do you guys have? How long do you think we can keep up? Not a day? I'm pretty sure, yeah, maybe about 30 seconds, not very long, okay? Any new competitor would have to try compete with Cokes and Pepsi's advertising. All right, here's a way of keeping competitors out. Okay, just high startup costs. All right. What else? And Kagan, I don't know, is that sort of the same thing you were saying, or?
Sort of, just like the loyalty that or like a trust that the large consumer may have to like the monopoly.
Yeah, and a lot of that is, again, in just, advertising and marketing. What else? What else might make it difficult for a company to get in a market and try and sell that product? Yeah, Jordan?
Patents. The company has a patent that so they can produce a product that other people can't.
All right. Number 2. Patents. If a company invents and patents, how do you spell patent? Patents a product, then no other company can sell that product generally for 17 years. All right, kind of depends a little bit on the product, but in general, patents last 17 years. All right, so you make a product, you patent that product, no other company can produce that product for, next 17 years. Well, here's a good way of keeping competitors out of a market. Yeah, Owen.
Can you renew one?
All right, I wasn't gonna do this, but since Owen asked this, there used to be these cameras. Actually, not used to. They still are out there because that was my nephew's wedding down in California a month and a half ago, and they had these cameras around at different tables. You take a picture with this camera, and within seconds, an actual photograph would come out of the camera. You know the company who makes those? Polaroid. And Polaroid invented those things 70 years ago and patented it. Patents on those things don't last for 70 years. In the late 1970s, Kodak, another company you may have heard of, Kodak said, hey, Polaroid's patents have run out, and Polaroid is making huge profits because everybody likes these instant cameras where the photo comes out, way before digital cameras, right? And Kodak got into that market, started producing the products. Polaroid sued Kodak. And Polaroid said, yeah, look, our initial patents from, 25 years ago, yeah, they've run out. But we've made improvements since then. And every time you make an improvement, you patent your improvement. And Polaroid took Kodak to court and said, hey, you're infringing on our patented improvements. The judge said, yes, Kodak, what you're doing is illegal. Kodak, you have to shut down your factory that you just built. That was expensive. And Kodak had to pay Polaroid a little fine. $950 million back then. It's probably about like $3 billion now. $2 billion at least. And once again, Polaroid was a monopoly. Here's a good way of keeping competitors out. What else? What are some other things that would make it difficult for a company to get into a market and produce and sell that product? What are some other possibilities? Yeah, what up?
I don't know if it's part of your high startup cost, but when medicine companies, they have to research and create, and they have to have a long.
Yeah, I would put that in with a high startup cost. Yeah, but bringing new drugs to market is really, really expensive. And of course, once a company comes up with a new drug, I don't know, say like a COVID vaccine, what do? They patented it, okay? So yeah, not only is it really expensive, high startup costs are number one, but then they patented it also. Yeah. What else? What else could make it difficult for a company to get in the market and sell that product? Any ideas? Yeah?
Like geographical barriers.
Well, I don't know. What do you mean by that?
I mean, like if there was a certain product that, for whatever reason, in America we could produce it at a certain level, and in a developing country they wouldn't be able to produce that same product at that same level. That would be a barrier for them.
All right. Number three. I'm going to put it a little bit differently. That look at this. Government regulations. And under this number three, government regulations, you're going to have A, B, and C here. So A, tariffs. All right. It looks like tariffs, but it's actually pronounced tariffs. Anyone know what is a tariff? Yeah? Tax on trade. Okay, actually specifically a tax on imports. Okay, tariffs are taxes on products. That would American tariffs would be taxes on products made in foreign countries. Yeah, Noah.
Who cares? Isn't that just a high startup cost? Higher startup cost?
In a sense, but it's a little bit different. I mean, I guess you could say, well, let me give you an example.
I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's something different to me. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's just more money.
Well, the startup cost is, high startup cost is just to even produce the product.
Okay.
Whereas this is not a high cost of producing the product. It's the government putting a tax on it. Okay. You don't need to write this down. This upward arrow. This actually you should write this down. This increases the price of foreign products and makes it hard for foreign companies to compete. All right, and Noah, kind of going back to what you said, but generally we think of cost as something the business pays, whereas the price is something that the customer, the consumer pays.
Yeah, I think I got it. I think it makes it cost more to the consumer.
Yeah. Okay. And we've done that in the United States, specifically on cars, but lots of items besides just cars. And I don't know, you're an American car company, you're General Motors. Japanese car companies are going to go back 30 years here in time, 40 years in time, 30 years at a time, I guess. Japanese car companies are kicking American car companies' butts because the American car companies are spitting out not such good products, but the Japanese cars are a lot better, and Americans want to buy the Japanese cars. Well, if you're an American car company and you go to the US government, you say, hey, we're having a hard time selling our cars. You probably don't say because our cars are crap. You probably say something like because these foreign car companies are undercutting our prices. You say, hey, let's put a tariff on them. Raise their prices. All right, another possibility. Import quotas. Countries will do this, governments will do this. We did this in the United States for a while. We said, okay, we're only going to let Japanese companies like Toyota and Honda sell a limited amount of cars in the United States. Well, that kind of makes it hard for those foreign companies to sell their cars if they can only sell a limited amount. All right, so Jordan, that's kind of a little bit of what you were saying, I think. But we're going to have one more up here, and we're going to spend quite a bit of time on this one. And that is C. Government sometimes sets up monopolies. Government sometimes sets up monopolies and doesn't allow any competitors. Once in a while, just tell a company, okay, we're going to let you sell this product, and we're not going to allow any other company, any other business to produce and sell that product. All right. When government sets up a monopoly, the government also sets the price the company can charge. All right, you guys probably don't pay your electricity bills. But any of you guys know, a place where you live, who provides the electricity? PSE, Puget Sound Energy. Any of you guys buy electricity from anybody other than Puget Sound Energy? Actually, I do. Am I the only one? I buy my electricity from Seattle City Light. Why do you guys all buy your electricity from Puget Sound Energy?
It's the local one.
No, that's not the local one. It's the only option. You have no choice. Well, here's your choice. You could move to Seattle. I live in Seattle. And then your choice, your only choice, would be Seattle City Light. There's examples right there of government setting up a monopoly and not allowing any competitors. You live on the east side of Lake Washington, you buy your electricity from Puget Sound Energy. You live on the west side of Lake Washington, you buy your electricity from Seattle City Light. You have no choice. Well, I guess your other choice is don't have any electricity. There's your other choice. Government sets this price so that the monopoly, it sets the price so that the monopoly will have zero economic profit. All right, so the government sets up a monopoly like that. The government also tells the company, the monopoly, what price they're going to sell their product for. So, Government tells Puget Sound Energy what price they're going to charge for the electricity. Government tells Seattle City Light what price they're going to charge for the electricity. Okay, graph for this. Actually, I should put one graph. I'm going to erase this and put it over here. All right, medium-sized graph. Dollars is always the vertical axis, left-hand side, quantity, the horizontal axis along the bottom. Title this graph, actually don't title it yet. Put a horizontal line out here, and at the end of it write in price equals average revenue equals marginal revenue. And I guess you can put an arrow if you want, putting that line right in demand curve. All right, buddy. Horizontal demand curve. What kind of company is this? Perfectly competitive. Okay? Because monopolies have downward sloping demand curves. But actually, we're going to title this graph this: government regulated monopoly. All right, but yeah, monopolies generally have downward sloping demand curves. But government regulated monopolies, the government is setting the price. So maybe the government sets the price at, I don't know, should we put in some numbers here? I guess we can put in, let's just make up some numbers. Put in here $10. Government sets maybe the price at $10. It doesn't matter if the monopoly sells 1 unit, a quantity of 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 20 or 30 or 1,000 or 1,000,000. Regardless of what quantity the monopoly, the government regulated monopoly, regardless of what quantity they choose to produce, the price they're selling their product for is $10. Why? Because the government says that's the price you're going to sell them for. So government-regulated monopolies actually have horizontal demand curves, just like a perfectly competitive firm. All right, now, I want you to do this. Put a U-shaped average total cost curve in, something like that. Make it just tangent, just barely touching, right? Make that average total cost curve just tangent, barely touching the horizontal demand curve. All right, put some dashed lines, come down. Right in there, Q star, optimal production quantity. Of course, to come up with the optimal production quantity, you need marginal revenue, marginal cost. Well, I guess we do have marginal revenue up here. We don't have marginal cost, but let's just assume this is our optimal production quantity. All right, at that optimal production quantity, is this monopoly making a profit? Making a profit? No? So how do you know that? Are they losing money, Sohi?
Breaking even.
They're breaking even. How do you know they're breaking even? How do you know that at this production quantity, how do you know they're breaking even? Yeah, no?
Well, average total cost at that quantity is the same as the price.
Average total cost? Okay, Q star, go up here. Here's our average total cost, $10. At this production quantity, go up to our price. Here's our price, $10 is the same. Okay, price, average revenue equal to average total cost. We're breaking even. Now, you guys tell me, why do businesses try to be really efficient and lower their production costs? Why do businesses want to be as efficient as they possibly can? Why do businesses try to decrease their production costs? Why? Maximize profits. Different color pen or pencil if you have it. Put another U-shaped curve further down, ATC new. Suppose this company works really hard and figures out ways to produce its product at a lower cost. Now can this company make a profit? Yeah? Alex, how do you know?
Because the price is set below the average.
Because the price is set above The average total cost.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, look, the price $10 and now it's average total cost. I don't know what that is, but it's obviously lower than $10. Now this company can make a profit. Except when the government sets up a monopoly, the government also sets the price. And the government sets that price so the company's economic profit is going to be zero. So this company works really hard, trying to be as efficient as they possibly can, reduce their costs of producing the product, and they do that. And the government says, that is awesome. That is awesome. But you put a dot right there, the low point on the average total cost curve, and then put a new horizontal line going through that point. Price equals average revenue equals marginal revenue. And here's our new demand curve. And once the government lowers the price, the company is again making zero economic profit. All right. So, government sets that price, the company's going to have zero economic profit. Average accounting profit. Let me write that in here. If government regulated monopoly is able to become more efficient and downward arrow decrease its production costs, I'm going to put in parentheses above graph. Okay, this idea of our graph here. Companies able to become more efficient, decrease its production costs, then the government will decrease the price. The monopoly can charge. All right, last thing to put for this. What incentive does this monopoly have? What incentive does this monopoly have to try and be really efficient and lower its costs?
They themselves can pay lower electricity bills at their house.
Well, maybe. That's not much incentive, though. So, there's kind of last thing I will write for this. Let me move it over. Government regulated monopolies. Government regulated monopolies don't have incentive to be efficient. All right, Keegan.
What incentive do government regulated monopolies have to exist at all if they're just breaking even?
All right. Remember zero economic profit? How is zero economic profit defined? Anyone remember? What's the definition of zero economic profit? Yeah, go on. Average accounting profit. You remember, zero economic profit is not bad. By definition, it's average. Well, okay, average isn't great. By definition, it's not great. It's average. Well, there's nothing particularly bad about being average. So, Keegan, there's the answer right there. All right, anything else we need to do with that? No. All right, so, stepping back. Barriers to entry. What can make it difficult for a new company to get into a market? Well, high startup costs, patents, government regulations, including sometimes the government just making it illegal for any other company to sell that product. You guys, you could start up your own soft drink company, but you cannot start your own electricity company and start selling electricity. That is illegal. What else? are some other possible barriers to entry that can make it hard for a company to produce and sell a product? Was that 3? Any other ideas? All right, I'm gonna give you guys a hint on one. All right, everybody, probably most of you, a lot of you maybe have jobs right now, and probably at least in the summer you get a job. But I got a really good idea for a summer job for you guys next summer. Pays pretty good. $25,000 a month, maybe more. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys should all be doctors next summer. How many guys, what do you think? How many guys are going to work as a doctor next summer? Yeah? Why not? Why not work as a doctor next summer? $25,000 a month. Qualifications. All right. Number 4. Who's going to put for this? Certification slash licensing. Who's going to put for this? Look, you're going to work as a doctor. You have to be licensed. You have to go to medical school. You have to get a medical license. Expense and difficulty. Expense and difficulty becoming a doctor, lawyer, CFA, CPA, limits the competition and keeps their wages up.
Isn't that for employees? It doesn't make it a monopoly though.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a couple examples on this. Let's do a lawyer here. What do you gotta do to become a lawyer?
Law school.
Yeah, you gotta go to law school, pass the bar exam. Actually, it's not law, but I would guess the number of new attorneys in Washington State who didn't go to law school over the last decade is a big fat 0.
Yeah, but.
Well, okay. So as a practical matter, yes, you do have to go to law school. All right, so what's law school? I think if you go to law school at UW, I'm gonna guess it's $80,000 a year. Well, that's kind of expensive, sort of a high startup cost in a sense. If I knew somebody who went to law school, 3 years, $80,000 a year for law school at UW. Graduated from law school. Of course, become a lawyer, you have to go to law school. You also have to pass the bar exam. Took the bar exam, failed. Took the bar exam a second time, failed again. Took the bar exam a third time, failed again. Fourth time, failed. Fifth time, failed. I think that was it. I'm not sure if he took it again, but never ever passed the bar exam. 3 years of law school, $250,000, never became a lawyer.
Oh, it's a lot of opportunity cost.
Pretty high. CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst. If you didn't go very far in finance, you have to become a CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst. And the way you become a CFA, it's a professional license. You have to take a test, actually 3-part test. I think the price to take the test now is, well, it's a long ways from $90,000, but I think the price to take the test is $1,600 maybe. All right, well, that stops some people from ever taking the test. But when I took the CFA test, I took it right after getting my MBA in finance. I figured, okay, I just got my MBA in finance. I should know all this material. Now it's probably a good time to take the test. Well, it was cheaper back then, but in today's terms, I plunked down my $1,600. And I took this test along with, how many other people were taking the test? I don't know, like 600 people. 600 people took the first part of the test with me, given a huge, huge auditorium. Anyway, I think I literally kind of got lucky and passed the first part of the test. And what that meant was that 1 year later I could come back and take the second part of the test. And I studied a lot for the second part of the test because I realized I was maybe actually kind of likely to pass the first part of the test. Anyway, I studied really pretty hard for the second part of the test. 1 year later, I'd come back to take the second part of the test, and only about 400 people taking the second part of the test. Apparently, about 1/3 of the people had failed the first part of the test. They could retake it. Cost them another $1,600. I kind of got lucky. I passed the second part of the test too. What that meant was I could come back 1 year again after that and take the third and last part of the test. I studied my ass off for that third and last part of that test. I studied a lot harder than I ever did trying to get my MBA at UW. I did not want to fail that test. 1 year I'd come back, and now for this third part of the test, there's about 250 people taking it. Apparently, about 1/3 of the people who had passed the first part, 1/3 of them failed the second part of the test. What that meant was they could start all over again with the first part of the test with another $1,600 fee. All right, I got lucky, passed the third part of the test. Started off as a CFA. Now, here's the point. If everybody becomes a financial analyst, what's going to happen to wages for financial analysts? They're going to decrease. And once I became a financial analyst, well, I didn't want a whole lot of competition. I didn't want other people becoming financial analysts also, because the more people there are selling labor as financial analysts, the less money financial analysts are going to make. All right, so how do I make sure that not too many other people become financial analysts? Well, set up a test and make sure not everybody passes it. Did I tell you the story about the lawyer, $250,000 for law school in 3 years and didn't become a lawyer because didn't pass the bar exam? All right, limit the competition, keep wages up. And as Hoda said, yeah, this is a monopoly. There's more than one chartered financial analyst out there. There's more than one public accountant, lawyer, doctor. But the idea is just minimize competition. Don't allow too big of a supply. All right. Number 5. I don't know. Any ideas? What else might make it difficult for a company to get in and produce and sell a product? You know the name of the company that produces majority of the world's diamonds? Anyone know the name of that company that produces lots and lots of diamonds? De Beers? Maybe you've heard that name? I don't know. De Beers is a really big diamond company. All right, number 5. Control over a resource. Example, De Beers. And I'm going to tell a story and then we'll write it down. De Beers is not a monopoly. There are other companies that produce diamonds, but De Beers is by far the biggest diamond company in the world. All right, you guys, what's to stop us? Let's form our own diamond company. Let's form our own diamond mining company. Let's all get together, start up our own business. We'll buy some land in the Cascade Mountains and start mining for diamonds, producing diamonds. What's to stop us from doing that? What's to stop us from buying some land in the Cascade Mountains and producing diamonds? Yeah?
There aren't any diamonds in the Cascade.
All right. There are no diamonds in the Cascades. You can start digging a hole in your backyard. You can call yourself a diamond mining company, get a shovel, start digging in your backyard. You are not going to find any diamonds. De Beers owns the land in most of the world's diamond mining areas. Yeah, you can dig a hole in your backyard and hope to find diamonds. Well, good luck. Look, De Beers simply owns the land where most of the world's diamonds are. Well, that's kind of hard to compete against. One last one, 6. Intimidation. All right. This time I'm gonna use software, not soft drinks. Microsoft's OS, maybe it's OS. Operating system, maybe we should put this. Microsoft's Windows operating system had like a 99% market, I should say OS, operating system market share in the 1990s. Not a monopoly, but pretty dang close. Apple did exist way back then. Apple was really, really small. Microsoft told computer makers, Microsoft told computer makers to only load Microsoft products on their new computers that they sold, or else Microsoft would cut them off from Microsoft's Windows operating system. All right, suppose you're a computer maker. You sell computers. Dell, HP. Of course, when you sell a computer, it's got software on it. 99% of your sales is people wanting Microsoft Windows for their operating system. And Microsoft tells you, all right, you put a web browser on your computer when you sell it. It better be our web browser, not any other company's web browser. Any software you put on your computer when you sell it, whatever software is on it, it has to be our software. And if you don't, if you put any other company's software, web browser, or anything else on your computers when you sell them, we're just cutting you off. What do?
Make your own.
Make your own software?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
No, why not? Why not, everybody? Why not make your own
It wouldn't
software?
be as good as Microsoft's.
Wouldn't be as good? Not bad, but keep going. We've already discussed a real good reason why.
It'd be the
no.
minority compared to Microsoft, who has the
Yeah,
majority.
but how do you get people to buy your product?
Make it better.
Make it better. Advertising. You're going to compete with Microsoft in advertising? Make it better? It doesn't matter if it's better. People don't know it's better. How do you get people to know it's better? Marketing, advertising. And you're not keeping up with Microsoft in advertising. So Microsoft says this, you say okay. Intimidation. intimidation is illegal. And I don't know, kind of going back to Noah, what Noah had said about making your own software and make it better. But in the 1990s, there was this web browser, Netscape it was called, and it was definitely way better than Microsoft's web browser. And people wanted Netscape as their web browser because it was better than Microsoft's. But Microsoft told all the computer makers, no, don't put Netscape on your computer when you sell it. Or if you do, you're never selling any Microsoft products ever again. And all the computer companies said, sorry Netscape, we're not putting your web browser on our computers because we don't want to lose 99% of our sales. Intimidation is illegal, and it was a big court case against Microsoft, antitrust court case. Microsoft lost. Microsoft almost got broken up into 3 different companies. Intimidation is illegal, but effective. By the time Microsoft lost that court case, Netscape had been bankrupt for years because nobody was buying their product. I don't know, one more example on intimidation. Anyone know who Al Capone was? Who was Al Capone?
Bootlegger.
Bootleggers selling whiskey, alcohol during the 1930s. In the 1930s, all alcohol was illegal in the United States, prohibition back then. Al Capone was selling alcohol anyway, but here's the point. Al Capone wanted to be the only person selling alcohol because, you know, if you're a monopoly, here's what we did last week, right? If you're a monopoly, you jack up the prices and make really big profits. Anyone know? How did Al Capone eliminate his competition? He truly did eliminate. He just killed his competitors. Well, okay, again, intimidation is illegal, but it can be pretty effective. All right, so there's some examples of barriers to entry, just things that make it difficult for other companies to get into a market. And there's a way of keeping competitors out, limiting competition, and making big profits. Okay, that's it for barriers to entry. Monopolist incentive. All right, monopolist incentive. Here's what we're going to put for this. Monopoly incentive. Here's a commonly made argument. Common argument. You've probably heard, or will hear. Common argument. Monopolies have no competition. All right, well, that's the definition of monopoly, right? By definition, monopolies don't have any competition. But here's the argument here. Monopolies don't have any competition. Put a comma after that. So, don't have incentive to improve their products. All right. Suppose you're producing some product and you got a lot of other competitors making similar products. Why would you try to make your product better? Why would you spend money trying to improve your product? Charge higher prices and get more demand, get more customers, get bigger market share. Of course, for a monopoly, you know, in a competitive market, if your product's garbage, you're not going to sell very much. But monopolies don't have to worry about having a garbage product because there's no one else. Your customers can't buy from somebody else. There is nobody else to buy from. All right, so here's a common argument about monopolies, is that they don't have to worry if their product is garbage. They don't need to worry about trying to improve it because their customers don't have any choices. All right. Counter argument. Here's a counter argument to this idea. All right, counter argument. Putting a quick graph doesn't have to be very big at all. Quantity on the horizontal axis, dollars as always, and the vertical axis, left-hand side. Put a downward sloping demand curve out towards the right end of it. Once you put in a dot, bring some dashed lines and come over, come down, and I'm gonna label this, just put in P there. Suppose there's the price measured in dollars. All right, to go with this graph. Here's our counter argument. If monopoly improves the quality, if a monopoly improves the quality of its product, comment for that. All right, you guys tell me. If the monopoly improves the quality of its product, what should happen to demand for their product? It should increase. Okay, better quality product, people are going to want to buy more of it, right? Then demand will, upward arrow, increase. Everybody on our graph? If demand increases, how do we show in the graph? Yeah, the whole thing's just right. People wanting to buy a bigger quantity. All right, different color pen or pencil if you have one. If you don't, it's not a big deal here. But put another demand curve further over the right. I'm going to call it D new. All right, if a monopoly improves the quality of its product, then demand will increase, shown as demand curve. I'm just going to write D curve shifts right. Alright, if people want to buy more of this product because the company's improved their quality, okay, people want to buy more, demand curve shifts to the right. I should assume they keep their quantity at the same amount. The company's still going to produce the same quantity as before, let's suppose. If demand increases, what does that allow the company to do? Oda? If demand increases, you already answered this question.
Oh,
If demand increases, what's it allow the company to do?
give them profit,
Intermediate step. What's the intermediate step?
more customers,
Higher price.
higher price.
Okay, everybody extend these dashed lines up the new demand curve from the dot there, come over and write in here, P new. Okay, if there's more demand for their product, they can jack up the price and still sell the exact same quantity. All right, can I write that in? This allows the monopoly to upward arrow increase price, and so upward arrow increase. Here's the first thing you said, increase profits. Of course, there's the goal of business, right? Make as much profit as you possibly can. All right, so here's a counter argument. There's a real common argument. Monopolies, they don't worry about trying to improve their product. Well, most economists say maybe to some extent, but really, monopolies do have incentive to improve their product for this reason. The better the product is, the more demand there's going to be for that product. And if demand increases, the company can charge a higher price, get more profit. Okay, let's take a break. We'll take a break and then come back and talk about good and bad things about monopolies.